The parcels that we're walking by right now are larger.
Ginger Hitsky is an affordable housing developer in San Diego County. She's always on the hunt for land to build on.
This I thought would actually be a great little infill site because it's going to be right across the street from the transit stop.
We're walking around a small commercial street in Bay Park, right next to a future trolley stop that's set to open in 2021. In front of us is a strip mall with a pizza shop and a pet grooming salon. Hitsky says the lot would be a great site for new, dense housing.
This would be an ideal situation. It's likely got one owner, would be a little bit easier to deal with land acquisition. It's got good infrastructure. It's good for fire access. It's obviously good for transit.
San Diego taxpayers are spending billions of dollars on the trolley extension from Old Town to University City. But a lot of the land around the future stations is tightly restricted. The city won't let developers build too high or too densely. In 2014, city planners backed off a plan to raise the height limits in this area of Bay Park after residents raised objections. Hitsky says it's a familiar story.
It's such a familiar story. I could probably tell you the story and I didn't even have to participate in it, right?
Yeah.
I could tell you property values are going to decline, we're going to have higher crime, we're going to have more traffic, everyone's view is going to be blocked, the schools are going to be impacted, the children are not going to be safe to walk the streets. I can tell you, you name it, the same exact opposition comes up anytime when there's large-scale developments proposed.
A bill introduced in Sacramento would radically change the development rules around public transit stops. Cities would have to allow apartment or condo buildings of 4 to 8 stories, like these in Little Italy. They would not be able to limit density or require a minimum number of parking spots per home.
Right now, around a lot of public transportation, we have low-density zoning. So very few people can live within walking distance of transit.
State Senator Scott Wiener wrote the bill called SB 827.
And what that does is it pushes people out to live in sprawl. They have to drive everywhere. It creates gridlock on our roads, increases carbon emissions. So we're just trying to get more housing near transit. Yeah, it's an aggressive bill, and we're at the point where we need to take aggressive steps.
SB 827 has generated a lot of controversy. Some cities are calling it an affront to local control, and that local governments know best how to plan for their own growth. Wiener says cities still have plenty of latitude to plan for development under his bill, and he says local control is part of what created California's housing crisis.
The proof is in the pudding, right? We have a system where we allow communities to take 10 or 15 years to put together a housing plan, and then very little housing gets built as a result because each housing project takes years to approve and the zoning is really low. So we've tried that, and has it worked? I don't think so, because people can't afford to live in many parts of California anymore. So when you try something for many years and it keeps failing and it's just getting worse, you need to try something new, and that's what we're proposing here.
All of us know that California is experiencing a severe housing shortage.
State Assemblyman Todd Gloria last month introduced his own housing bill that aims to incentivize building smaller homes near transit stops. But his bill doesn't place any new requirements on cities. He says that was a political decision.
Right now, I think this is the biggest issue facing California, and I'm not willing to spend time having a debate about local control. Right now, we need this on the books because we have a lot of people who can't afford the rent in California.
When it comes to local control, Hitsky says the severity of the housing crisis and the fact that Wiener's bill is even being discussed is telling. She says some local governments in California have proven they simply cannot be trusted to make smart decisions on housing.
City council members are elected to make tough decisions. It's kind of the number one thing that they have to do. And if they can't do what's necessary for the community now and for the community in the future, then maybe someone else has to come in and make that decision for them.
SB 827 is still undergoing amendments. Wiener expects the first committee hearings on his bill in April. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.